Hey guys, welcome to this episode here on the Soundtracks channel. I'm sitting in front of my little makeshift 8-track player. You can see behind me here. It's a couple of 90s boombox speakers with a powered, meaning that you did not need an amplifier or receiver to play it, 8-track player here from mid to late 70s. It does work. I don't know if you can zoom in, but I have Journey's Evolution in the 8-track player. I want to say my mom and dad had that one. I know my mom loved that album. I know she had the album because I have it on my shelf over here. But I think we had the 8-track for the car too. I think, maybe. I don't remember mom and dad having an 8-track for a long time because dad went to cassette as soon as he could, right? Because I remember a lot of cassettes. I used to make mixtapes and mom and dad would play them on our way to vacation or church or school or doing my paper route. And, they'd play the mixtapes that I made. But this episode is about the 8-track. Now, not many I watch a lot of record store YouTube videos, and not many people talk about 8-tracks. Matter of fact, I Googled 8-track tonight, and only one video popped up, a guy talking about Beatles on 8-track. And so I thought, let's do an 8-track video, because I made a pick today. I bought a bunch off of a guy, a local guy, saw it on Facebook, reached out to him. He was local to the store. I was so busy in the store, I asked him if he could swing by, and I just take one off of his hands, kind of sight unseen kind of thing. And I saw the pictures in his ad, but beyond that, no, I didn't ask for a list or anything. But he was priced right. They don't have a lot of value. 8-tracks don't. And he agreed to that, and he came by, and what a cool guy. It was great meeting him. He says he's got some vinyl too, so we'll see what turns into that. But tonight, the 8-track. So we're going to go through this pick here, and I'm going to show you some titles, and I only skimmed the top. There's some cool titles in there. But first of all, let me tell you a little background on the 8-track. So it was introduced in 1964, and it was called the Learjet Stereo System. Okay, 1964. Beatles, right? Yeah. So then in 1965, Ford Motor Company started putting the 8-track players in the model year 1966 Ford Mustang. Hey, my favorite car. I actually have a 1966 Ford Mustang. It does not have an 8-track in it. Guy changed the stereo out long before I got it, so it has a Bluetooth system in it that looks retro, right? Anyway, I thought that was cool. I didn't know that until I put together this video. So 1966, the Ford Mustang had the first 8-track player, which that kind of changed how we listen to music. Meaning that before that, you really didn't have rock and roll music in your car, because in 1966 there weren't a whole lot of rock and roll stations, and some would only play it in the evening and that kind of thing. One or two here and there, but it wasn't like during its heyday, 80s and 90s. So that really changed how we listen to music in the car. Soon, by the mid 70s, pretty much every car had an option at least of an 8-track player. Well, then cassettes came along. Cassettes kind of killed the 8-track. They were smaller, they were more portable. You could carry more in your car in less space, and most people said they sounded better. So cassette came along and killed the 8-track. The last production major record label 8-track was made in 1984, so that's when it ceased production. So it only had a 20-year run, 64 to 84, a 20-year run, which I also found to be very interesting. That it only had a 20-year run. Now some bands, they just like some groups are putting their stuff out on cassette. Some are going as far as putting it out on 8-track as well. Not as many as cassette, and definitely not as many as vinyl or CD. So anyway, that's a little bit of the history of the 8-track. We got Journey's Evolution playing in the background here. We're going to flip through this box together if you like. Everyone always does. The record stores always do their record picks. 5,000 records, 3,000 records. I might have bought 100 8-tracks, but it's just so exciting because it's so different and unusual, and it's just fun. So let's take a look. Here we go. All right, so here we go. Excuse the mess in the background. This is my storage facility as well as my basement. First one we grab, Alice Cooper, Welcome to My Nightmare. Pretty cool. Billy Joel, The Stranger. My favorite record by him. That's pretty awesome. Disco Nights. Carla had some Disco Nights. What's on this? I Love the Nightlife. Shame, You and I, Get Off. Yeah, some big disco hits there. Paul Simon, all those years ago. Here's a homemade one. You could do that with 8-tracks. You could record them. And there's Rod Stewart. I don't know which Rod Stewart, but there's a Rod Stewart, homemade. Pretty cool. This one's interesting. ELO. You don't see that record very often, and you see the 8-track even less often. Had Roll Over Beethoven on it. That was probably the most well-known. Here's one, Stars on Long Play. If you know what this is, let us know in the comments below. So many people do not know what this is. It was revolutionary at its time. Early 80s on that one. Oh, here's a classic. Look at that. Boston's first album. Absolutely a classic. Going down the road listening to More Than a Feeling. How about some Rod Stewart disco music? Yes, there you go right there. All right, and here's one dear to my heart. I had this album when I was a kid, and I played the crap out of that one. This tape looks brand new. It's not even yellowed, so we'll have to test that one out here a little bit later. Alice Cooper Killers. I mean, imagine if this was vinyl. We have thousands and thousands of dollars worth of vinyl. Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell. Yeah. ELO Discovery, 1979. That one came out. Oh, here's one. That one might be collectible. I'll have to look that one up and see. Fleetwood Mac Rumors, the original OG 8-track, baby. Check that out. What else we got down here? We got some ELO's Greatest Hits. Another great album right there. Kansas with Left Overture. All right, so there's a few more in here. I'm going to shuffle through because I don't want to make this tape an hour long. Remember when I started this channel, I told you we're going to try to do 30 minutes or less. But that one you got to see. Van Halen 2, rolling down the highway in your 1978 Pontiac Firebird, listening to You're No Good, You're No Good, right? Yeah, absolutely. So what else we got in here? So, yeah, that's some good stuff, And so we're going to move on to the next box. We'll leave you with Zeppelin 3. The guy had good taste in music, that's for sure. All right, so we're going to switch boxes. So this box, move the camera back a little bit, you can kind of see down in it. Leif Garrett, where's Billy Ray Hoff? Billy, you watch my videos ever? You're always posting about Leif Garrett on my Facebook page. That one's for you. I'll save it for you. Beach Boys 69. What else we got in here? Another Meatloaf. Saturday Night Live. Bay City Rollers. Let's see. Simon and Garfunkel. Here we go. Ted Nugent, Uncle Ted, State of Shock. So whoever had these was mostly a rocker, but they also had some Eddie Rabbitt, right? Oh, check that out. That one's a little beat up. Looks like they liked that one. That one sat in the car, and check this out. So I want to show you this. This one sat in the car. It's got heat mess. Okay, that's what that is. The heat has gotten the glue wet and then dry again. But then there's a piece of tape around here. See that? Sometimes when these tapes wouldn't play, they'd wiggle around in the tape player, and that was a trick. You put some tape on it so that when it went into the player, it would hold steady and it would play and not cut out or even change tracks on you. So that one, someone had done that to that one once upon a time. So hopefully you learned that, because not a lot of people know that about 8-tracks, but that's absolutely something that people used to do. All right, we're rolling through here. Here's another homemade one. It doesn't say what's on it. What do we got there? Huh? Jethro Tull. Another homemade one. Oh, there we go. Houses of the Holy. Yeah. Led Zeppelin. All this rock and roll music. And then we got Bette Midler's The Rose. That's why I love doing this. You just never know what you're going to find sometimes. So, again, we're not showing you every single one. Stop by the store sometime. I'll have these out in the next week or so in the store. I just wanted to do a video tonight and just kind of flip through this and do some of the highlights. I'm seeing these for the very first time, too. There's the Sticky Fingers, Rolling Stones, no real zipper. Haha, they couldn't do that on 8-track, right? It would tear up the 8-track player. It would never play. Pablo Cruz and another homemade one. All right, let's go on to box number 3, because this is the one that I saw on the Facebook post. Okay, so this is the first one I saw. I opened it up. I saw that tape. I saw that tape. And I saw that tape. And that was enough to convince me that I needed to buy these 8-tracks off of this gentleman. But check that one out. I didn't catch that one right away. Kiss Hotter Than Hell. Yeah, cool stuff. Kiss the Originals, Volume 2. I wonder if Volume 1's going to be in there. That would be awesome if both of them were in there. Was there a Volume 3? I don't even know that. Aerosmith Rocks. Aerosmith Night in the Ruts. Kiss, Rock and Roll All Over. And look at this. We got it. Yes, we got it. Here we go, right here. Kiss Originals, Volume 1. So we got Volume 1 and Volume 2. One's a black tape, one's a white tape. And That's pretty cool. Record Bar. That's a record store that used to be in Morristown, Tennessee. So now we know when some of these are bought. Oh, this is cool. This was bought. Record Bar used to do this. 7/7 of 77. And the tape price was $12.99. $12.99. I'd be lucky to get $5 for that today. Right? Yep. 7/7 of 77 was when those were purchased from the Record Bar in Morristown, Tennessee. A piece of local history. It's pretty awesome. I love finding that kind of stuff in these picks. Paradise Theater. Had that on album. Piano Man. Some more Aerosmith. Heart. Dog and Butterfly. Three Dog Night again. Heart again. Oh, look at this. We got some Barry Manilow. Yes, trying to get the feeling. The feeling that only Barry Manilow can bring you. Eric Clapton. Slow Hand. Way Down Sally. Let's see what else we got over here, boys and girls, before we sign off on this one. Steppenwolf's Greatest. Heart, Little Queenie. ABBA's Greatest Hits. So, I don't know if you can hear Journey in the background. Hopefully not, because then I won't. Otherwise, I'll get slapped for copyright stuff. And I want you to see this video. Aerosmith's first one was Dream On. But that one plays. It plays without issue. And some of these most of these look pretty clean. Get the Neck, My Sharona. So I'm going to assume that most of these play. I'm not going to promise you I'm going to test every single one of them, but I'll definitely test the ones that I'm going to try to sell for more than $1. That way you can buy with confidence. Foreigner, debut album. Yes. Long, Long Way From Home. Great album or song to drive down the road to. And Blondie, Heart of Glass. Parallel Lines is the name of the album. Debut album from Blondie right there. Oh, what else we got in here? Oh, look at that. Michael Jackson, Off the Wall. I don't think I've ever seen that on 8-track before. And RDO Speedwagon, High Infidelity. Yes. Very cool. All right, so I haven't gone through all of these yet, but I'm going to let my man know when I see him again. I'm a little disappointed he doesn't have any Bob Seger, because you got to have night moves on 8-track in the 70s. It was just you had to. Queen's the Game. So very fun, very fun. It's I love that. I love that part of the aspect of running a record store, is buying stuff. Sometimes it's fun when you know you're buying it right and you don't go through every single piece, and then you get it home and you get to kind of go through it and you get that excitement of, it's kind of like when you guys walk in the record store, like, oh, you got that. It's like, oh, I found that, so that you guys can come in and say, oh, I got that. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, we'll check a few of these out. We'll get them priced up. We'll get them into the store. And I do have a couple guys that come in and buy 8-tracks from time to time. One guy comes in, he buys oldies. Another guy comes in and buys some country. I don't find classic rock on 8-track. They usually just got baked in the sun or ruined back in their day. So it'll be interesting to see if any of these sell. If they don't, it's okay. And here's why. Because one thing about 8-tracks, they don't bring much money, and that's okay. But people will see them, and then it just takes you back to a moment. It takes you back to a place. It brings back a memory. It stirs up an emotion. It creates a conversation. And for me, that's part of having the record store. We're not just trying to sell records. We want you guys to walk in there and have a lot of, oh, they got that moments, and enjoy that aspect of it. So, all right, so thanks for indulging me on my 8-track video. I'm going to go pour me a bourbon and listen to some 1970s music on 8-track. Have a great night.